Welcome to the Wealthiest, where you will learn the ins and outs about the world's elite, how they live and how they spend their accumulated wealth. Let's get started. For millennia, palaces have served as the patrons of authority, riches, wealth, and work, serving as a symbol of the time period's culture and society. Persian palaces were built in Egypt and Babylon, the sites of the earliest known palaces. Each building was constructed with expensive materials and exquisite labor that could withstand the test of time, even though the symmetry and patterns varied throughout. Since the globe has moved away from the monarchy system, the majority of the palaces, which were formerly homes for the royal family, have been converted into museums or historical landmarks. Let's look at some of the priciest palaces in the world. Windsor Castle, UK, $236 million. The oldest and biggest inhabited castle in the world is Windsor Castle. It has served as a royal residence and stronghold for more than 900 years, and His Majesty, the King, still resides there in an official capacity. Built for William the Conqueror in the 11th century, Windsor Castle has a long history. Windsor, which features Georgian-style architecture, is home to numerous state apartments, as well as a vast array of antiques and art collections. According to the cheat sheet, it also features St. George's Chapel on its grounds, which serves as the location for royal marriages. The Queen has made the castle her new permanent home since the outbreak of the COVID pandemic. Axari Palace, Turkey, $663 million. Listed as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, Axari Palace is still a magnificent example of a medieval structure. The palace was built over a period of 24 years beginning in 1380 and was once a part of Amir Timur's home. The rebuilt reserved area of the palace continues to serve as the focal point of cultural events. The palace is larger than Washington's White House, Moscow's Kremlin, and even the Palace of Versailles near Paris. The majority of the 1.307 billion Turkish lira expenditure, according to Finance Minister Mehmet Şimşek, had already been paid, but an additional $135 million had been planned for it in 2015. The palace boasts state-of-the-art technologies to stop electronic eavesdropping, alongside materials such as lavish marble atriums and hallways. Dolmabahce Palace, Istanbul, $1.5 billion. One of the most opulent mansions in the world is the Dolmabahce Palace, erected in the 19th century. The final Ottoman Sultan lived there, making it the administrative hub of the waning Ottoman Empire. Mustafa Kemal Ataturk moved all government operations to Ankara once the Turkish Republic was established there, but during his visits to Istanbul, Ataturk merely claimed the single room at the Dolmabahce Palace as his own. He remained, built a practical center for national, historical, and linguistic congresses, as well as for international conferences, and welcomed his foreign visitors. The Dolmabahce Palace, which Sultan Abdülmecit began constructing in 1843, is the largest monoblock palace in Turkey. The fortress, which was adorned with gold and crystal, was constructed to hide the Ottoman Empire's financial downfall. There are 285 rooms, 68 bathrooms, 6 hammams, which is a Turkish steam bath, and 44 halls at Dolmabahce. Istana Nurul Iman Palace, Brunei, $3.9 billion. On the banks of the Brunei River is the Istana Nurul Iman Palace, the largest residential residence of a sovereign ruler. The building was finished in 1984, the year Brunei won independence from Britain. The palace, according to Istana Nurul Iman, cost $1 billion to build and was designed by Leonardo V. Loxon. The palace's regal white exterior, golden domes, and vaulted roofs expertly combine Brunei's Islamic and Malay traditions. The interior of the palace was created by Q&Chu. The largest palace in the world is decorated primarily with marble and gold. There are 1,788 rooms in the 20,000 square meters of area. Windsor Palace, Russia, $6.44 billion. The Windsor Palace, the most recognizable structure in St. Petersburg, not only physically dominates Palace Square and the Never River's South Riverbank, but also has an important symbolic, political, and cultural significance in the city's 3-century history. A timber home in the Dutch style constructed in 1708 for Peter the Great and his family served as the first imperial residence on the location of the Windsor Palace. This was changed in 1711 to a stone structure, the remnants of which served as the Hermitage Theatre's foundation. The public can now visit renovated portions of the ancient palace. The first of Peter's descendants to rebuild the palace was Empress Anna Ionovna. She hired Francesco Bartolomeo Rastrelli, the recently appointed royal architect, who would go on to become known as Russia's foremost expert in late Baroque architecture in 1731, to build a new, grander palace there. The Third Winter Palace, which was finished in 1735, was only used for 17 years before Rastrelli was once more invited to enlarge the structure, this time by Empress Elizabeth. The Empress approved his new design in 1754. Buckingham Palace, $7.2 billion. One of the most well-known palaces in the world, as it frequently appears on television as a result of the numerous ceremonies, events, and movie shoots that take place there. Buckingham House was transformed into a palace by King George VI in the 1820s, and ever since, it has been the monarch's official residence and base of operations. It has more than 775 rooms, including 92 offices, 52 royal and guest bedrooms. Over 50,000 people visit the palace each year. Political and social festivities have taken place there. Tokyo Imperial Palace, Japan, $12.25 billion. The Tokyo Imperial Palace, which stood where Edo Castle had stood and was completed in 1880. It was demolished during World War II, but was eventually rebuilt in a similar design. The Imperial Palace is closed to tourists, except on January 2 for the New Year's greeting and on February 23rd, the Emperor's birthday, unlike the Forbidden City. Louvre Palace, France, $45.5 billion. Francis I ordered the demolition of the ancient castle in Paris in 1546 so that Pierre Lescot could build the Louvre Palace. Even though the king only contributed a small fraction of the Louvre that is visible today, the succeeding kings made considerable additions in the 17th century, according to Britannica. The palace was no longer used as a royal house when Louis XIV moved his palaces to Versailles in 1682, and a museum was built there over the course of the following 10 years. Palace of Versailles, France, $50.7 billion. The Palace of Versailles, the pinnacle of luxury, is one of the most opulent palaces in the world. Originally built as a hunting lodge for Louis XIII, the Palace of Versailles was later constructed by his successor, who dubbed himself the Sun King. The castle, which contains more than 350 residences, is built in a Baroque and Rococo style and has a large park and sculptures. Forbidden City Complex, China, $69.66 billion. One of the world's best preserved wooden constructions is the Forbidden City Complex in Beijing, which is 3 times bigger than the Louvre. As stated by CNN, Judy constructed the Forbidden City after designating Beijing as the nation's capital. To finish the edifice, more than 1 million workers and 100,000 artisans toiled for 14 years. As the Chinese believe that the God of Heaven has 10,000 rooms, the Forbidden City, which has housed more than 24 emperors, is said to have 9,999,121 chambers. Neuschwanstein Palace, Umaid Palace, and Château de Chambord are a few further noteworthy palaces. The majority of the palaces on the list were royal residences before becoming well-liked heritage monuments. These buildings, which were made once for the emperors, receive a steady stream of visitors each year and bring in millions of dollars. Thank you, and I really hope you enjoyed watching our video. If you thought it was informative and interesting, please like, subscribe to The Wealthiest, and comment on the most expensive royal palaces in the world. Which was your favorite?